NIO with 3,000 insurance registrations for the first week of 2024. And if you note at the bottom of the screen, I have the ticker rolling. I have 3 points that we'll cover in this video. The first point is NIO with the 3,000 insurance registrations from January 1st through the 7th. I've given it a check mark. The reason I've done that is, well, there are a couple of kind of minor reasons that come together for this. This is consistent and in line with my expectation for NIO. And if you look at the screen, I've got the recent videos that I posted. If you'll note, the first full week of December, NIO with the 2,900 insurance registration number, so roughly a 3,000 number. The first week of the month typically seems to be a little lower than the rest of the month. That's what we've come to kind of expect because we've been tracking this data for so long, dating back to 2022. Now, this is the weekly breakdown of from the second half of 2023 and including the first week of the new year. So if you'll note, this is also consistent with kind of my expectation and what I've talked about as 3,000 being roughly the baseline or expectation that I have for NIO. And then, of course, if you look at the last couple times that they were in that range, it was earlier in the month. And so it's consistent with what my expectations are and have come to be from NIO. Now, this was a holiday week down here, so that one was different. And I need to actually look at when holiday weeks are going to be falling in this upcoming year, since we are in the fresh new year. But we'll come back to that in another video, because I also want to now go to point number 2. Point number 2 is the ES6 and the ET5s are the best selling models. And I've given this a thumbs up because William Lee had told us this was kind of the expectation that they had. Now, there are a couple of ways that we can look at this. If we look at, for example, on this little breakdown, the color coding of the orangish kind of color for the ES6. Obviously, the ES6 has been selling very well. The ET5s, both models are represented by that blue. Of course, they have been selling very well. And so those are the two best selling models for NIO. Interestingly enough, the EC6 is getting a little bit more interest in activity. Let's just see what happens. It's still very early to start this year of 2024. But to kind of confirm or validate that even further, this is the full year breakdown of the registration volume. And you've got the SUVs over here on the right, the sedans on the left. Now, I believe they are including both the ET5 and the ET5 Touring. Those two models are together. So the full model lineup, NIO has 8 vehicles out at this point. And so you've got 3 of them represented here on the left, and then the other 5 over here. So it's really kind of nice to see and have these breakdowns. Shout out Thinker Car. I appreciate the shares and these data points. How about this third piece, though? I want to have a little fun and offer a little tidbit, because if you missed the video, you're going to want to pay attention to this. NIO is years ahead in this. And so point number 3 is NIO is expanding the V2G network. They're doing pilots, but this is actually kind of fun because they were doing this already in 2023, and a lot of people aren't even aware of that. Here's the post from Thinker Car. NIO has officially launched its initial 10 V2G destination charging stations in Shanghai. Alongside exploring orderly charging and discharging in typical locations like parks, offices, and malls, NIO is partnering with the Shanghai Power Grid for a pilot program in residential communities starting in Fengshan District. Now, if you missed this video, this is the second video where I covered this. And I just reminded people, hey, NIO has already been doing this V2G because we started hearing about China and coming out with some pilot programs and kind of encouraging this to happen. And I was just kind of like, hey, NIO's already been doing this, but few people have seen it. And in fact, I don't even think when I shared the clip from this that we had a really big number. So I don't even know if more than 3,000 people globally are even aware of this. So think about that for a second. And it's really just a validation of what I've said from early on. The first major growth phase for NIO is market awareness. And until this company and this brand is known globally, I'm still going to consider it very early. Profitability is the second piece or major growth phases I identified. And I still think we've got a little time on that. However, NIO has teased us in recent earnings about profitability for those paying attention. So let's see what happens in 2024. If the numbers on the delivery side stay up and even increase, then I do think we've got a shot at seeing NIO become profitable faster than many are expecting. But that still leaves the third major growth phase, which I don't have it on the ticker today. I'll put it on there for another video, probably. But the third major growth phase is BaaS, battery as a service. Some folks are still not even bought in. They don't even believe in power swapping or battery swapping. And in the meantime, NIO is partnering with global giants in China, and they've already established proof of concept for this being a very effective, efficient way to not only handle or offer a better solution than just being able to charge the vehicles, but it also will help power the grid. So there's an energy component in a play that still is not being recognized. I love that, frankly. I want to be early, and I like that we still are very early. So stock price is going to do what it does. If shorts continue to suppress and kind of control things, that's just what it is. I won't freak out because, again, I had years ago identified sort of the three major growth phases. For me, BaaS, for example, these three major growth phases, including BaaS as sort of the third one, will maybe give us a glimpse of NIO as a mature company. And that would be probably not until we've got at least 1 million NIOs on the road. That's kind of my view and overview, bigger picture view. So I wanted to offer that also. And a shout out. I know Charles said something and was asking if I'm okay. I didn't upload for a few days. I actually had some personal family things going on, but additionally, I just needed a break from social media interaction. So I just kind of took a few days and didn't really do much of anything. Happy to be back and offering some video content heading into and over the weekend. There's a lot more ahead. There's so much more happening than anyone can cover, but I am glad to see a lot of folks are covering NIO and sharing different thoughts and views. Drop it in the comments. I want to hear from you what your thoughts are on the numbers or any of the other stuff I talked about in the video. But I'm going to wrap this thing up and get it out. Have a great weekend. It's actually blizzarding where I am. It's ridiculously cold here. So I'm just going to try and stay warm and safe, but I'll also try and get some more content out to you very soon. So thanks. Have a great weekend. We'll see y'all again very soon.